I'm hot! I'm big! Fuck!
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Yo! Welcome to another Untimely Review. So, if you follow me on Twitter, which you should, I have a lot of fun on there. Viewer discretion advised. Fun may vary. Potential following deal breakers. Too many Chicago references. Inane ramblings unrelated to anything important. Simping for popular mid-2000s actresses Sonic and Blink Stan account and mention swords far too often. You'd know that leading up to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I started posting a lot of Anthony Mackie pictures because he has a funny face to me. You might have even noticed them in a couple videos, and while I could have just done any of his Marvel movies, I was reminded of this film, Pain and Gain, because I like to be different and quirky. That's what we're doing today. Let's just get right into the story. So major spoilers for, I don't know, something about dudes with muscles, I guess. We opened with Mark Wahlberg giving himself a pep talk while exercising dangerously for absolutely no other reason than it looks cool, but it's cut short when he sees a whole precinct descend on his location. So he's running, the camera's shaking, and we find out that this all happened on June 17th, 1995, one day after the best Batman movie was released. Mark is jumping and spitting everywhere. We get our title card, and we find out that his name is Daniel Lugo. So, Daniel.
Hi, my name is Daniel.
Inspired by real-life Mark Wahlberg, that's a bad thing, and voted most likely to lead a cult that fails. We get some narration from some dude who tells us that this is a true story, so you know what that means. It's about to be 2 hours of lies and 9 minutes of things that actually happened. Without even looking at who the director is, we get a signature Michael Bay shot, and yep, it's him. Then Daniel's going around his gym, getting charts, touching moist people, and throwing in some USA propaganda for good measure. We also get introduced to Anthony Mackie's character while he's putting steroids directly into his cheeks, so honestly, this movie is at least an 8 out of 10 already. Then we see that boy Monk pop in to get some gains in, and he is a dickhead. Daniel's inner monologue keeps going. We find out he's never happy for multiple reasons, including, but not limited to, not knowing how to talk to women, all his heroes being fictional characters, living in Florida, being poor while living in Florida, and we see that he's at a job interview for a different gym. And to prove that this man Daniel is stupid, during his interview he says that, "I recently had some trouble with the law." And we see that not only is he jugging people, he's so blatant about it, it's hilarious. Just watch this.
Well, if I didn't, would I put my name on the company? Let me confer with my partner. Are they good?
Now, I don't know how phones worked in 1995, but that shit isn't that fast today, so I don't know what's going on here. But Danny's new boss doesn't care at all, so whatever, I guess. And we find out that Danny does get results. Are his methods good? In a business sense, yes. In any other sense, probably not. We see that Monk followed Daniel to his new job and just admits to tax fraud and other potential crimes out loud in this gym for all to hear. We get some Sears product placement, which is just sad to think about now. But we find out about Daniel's plan to rob Monk, and we get Anthony Mackie's character, who's named Adrian, which means I get to do a card now, so Adrian, the overcompensator, and loves his girls BBW. Hey, look, Ken Jeong is in this as a motivational speaker, which makes him a bigger scam artist than Danny was. Is? Whatever. A little time later, that boy Dwayne shows up as a dude named Paul looking for a job, so Paul. Big for no reason. Man kills, God loves, and wholeheartedly knows that cocaine is a hell of a drug. We find out that Paul's got a record and straight up murdered 2 dudes in prison, but he did it to save someone, so it cancels out. Anyway, Paul's story gets sadder the more he talks, but Daniel takes him to a strip club because why not? Then this man Adrian starts talking about drinking breast milk in the strip club, and this is exactly why Anthony Mackie is a national treasure, because he doesn't give a fuck what the script says, but he's gonna say it with zest. Paul is like, bro, no, stop talking about that, and walks away, but we get introduced to Serena. Actually, just a pretty face. Kinda sad, but whatever. Since Paul is trying to go on the straight and narrow and has been saved by the church, he wants 0 parts of the whole robbing Monk plan. Also, this big-ass man has a skateboard, and we don't even get to see him shred at all in the movie.
Whack!
We get some Adrian narration and... Hold on, wait.
Man, what the fuck is this?
Again, Anthony Mackie will do what he's gotta do. But we find out that Adrian Schmeat doesn't work anymore. Then, this happens.
Took a lot of balls to come in here.
More like raisinets.
At least yours are chocolate-covered raisinets. Hey.
This is by far the funniest movie on the channel. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me anymore. This is peak filmmaking. Then that dude from John Wick, yep, that one, talks about putting a needle in Adrian Schmeat to fix it, but of course, those shots cost more than he's got. Picking up with Paul, this man gets touched very inappropriately by old dude, but luckily, it doesn't linger too much. The boys go to the local gun shop. Paul uses his Christian music knowledge to lie. Adrian sounds like a psycho, and this guy really wanted to get tased for some reason.
Hit me! Hit me!
All with the beat to Gangsta's Paradise playing to really nail home the motifs. Danny goes over the plan, they execute the plan, and because Danny doesn't know what the fuck he's doing or talking about, it doesn't work. Okay, next plan. Instead of taking him at his house, they decide to do it in broad daylight like the criminal masterminds they are. But this plan also doesn't work. The next plan is where they take him at one of his businesses, again in broad daylight, but it works. So who am I to judge? Danny is putting on a Spanish accent to mask his voice, but Daniel's genius didn't go far enough because he's still wearing the cologne that Monk said smelled bad, so even with Daniel's Speedy Gonzalez impersonation, he knows who he is. But before he even gets it actually confirmed, he just drops the accent and gets mad like the intelligent man that he is. But even though he knows who kidnapped him, he can't just let him go, and besides, Daniel wants everything now. He then leaves the big soft teddy bear man to guard Monk, and because of that, they share a little heart-to-heart, which is honestly very sweet given the circumstances. But then Paul tries to convert this Jewish man to Christianity, which I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Jesus was a Jew. So this is very awkward, but Monk does it since, you know, he's mid-kidnapping. Some more stuff happens, Daniel lies to Serena, time passes, and we get to see some of the more interesting ways Danny tries to get Monk to sign his life away. Things are going great until he needs to get things notarized, but he goes to his boss, who just so happens to be a notary, bribes him, and everything's back on the gravy train, baby. So now it's finally time to get rid of Monk. So what do you think is going to be the plan? A, shoot him in the head. B, feed him to the alligators. C, make it look like a drunk driving accident. Or D, some bad shrimp. Yep, it's a drunk driving accident, but because Adrian is such a nice guy, he makes sure that Monk still has his seatbelt on, you know, so he doesn't hurt himself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now, they just dump gas on the car and light it on fire, but they don't actually make sure he's buckled back up or even pinned down so he gets out. So now, they just try to run him over twice, but because they can't do anything right, Monk is still very much still alive. When he gets interviewed by the cops, they don't believe him because who would? But then the boys go to the hospital to kill Monk there, but before that, Monk calls up a private detective named Ed. Mr. I'll come out of retirement this one time, who tells Monk to leave the hospital because some large, scary men could come in and kill him, which sounds like something that only happens in movies, but he does it anyway. So now Danny and the boys think they're in the clear since the cops didn't believe Monk, so now, for realsies this time, it's all aboard the gravy train, baby! Well, until Ed decides to pay Monk a visit. Daniel then bullies some kids while playing basketball. They say the name of the movie in the movie, and we see Ed doing some good old-fashioned surveillance. In these wild and crazy times, Paul goes off the deep end with drugs and ends up robbing one of those security guys who take the money from stores, getting Nickelodeon slimed and shot at, all while Adrian is getting married to his boo. Paul gets to Adrian's wedding, fucks the vibes up for Danny because he's talking about needing more money and has an idea for a new hit, but Adrian is like, I could use some more money, so it's a very awkward wedding. Oh, and this happens too.
My grandfather, he said to me, never marry a black man.
I did not know that. I appreciate that, but I don't give a damn.
What is going on here? Because of Ed's detective work, Monk calls up Danny's boss since he's the one who notarized all those forms. Danny finds out where he's staying, but by the time they get there, he's already gone. There's some scenes that happen that don't matter, and then Danny decides to actually start working on that new hit. This time, it's actually well thought out. Poorly executed because, you know, they're stupid, but I love the creativity. Their Mark knows that they don't know what they're talking about though, and that makes Daniel a mad little boy and ends up killing the dude. And in case you didn't think this dude was a fucking moron, with a dead man in a tub and a woman with a horse tranquilizer coursing through her veins in the shower, Daniel thinks it's a good time to get some fucking gains in at this very moment. The plan goes even worse when they try to get into the guy's safe, they don't have the right code, and then when they try to get the lady with now 2 horse tranquilizers in her, Adrian lets us know
Her soul has left
her body.
So now they gotta get rid of 2 bodies and just a whole bunch of other stuff that's gone wrong. But let's not dwell on that. We got a purple Lambo. When it's time to do a little Breaking Bad dissolve and dump, nothing works and it's a complete disaster. But the purple Lambo, remember the purple Lambo? We get a reminder that this is still a true story, and then Paul dips out because he can't take the pressure, and you know what? Understandable. So now the entire police force is out for them, and they're gonna hit them all at the same time, and we're at the beginning of the movie with Daniel doing those stupid sit-ups. And somehow, he's the one who gets away to the Bahamas, but because he just had to be greedy, he gets caught at the bank because somehow Monk, while driving from the passenger seat, hit him with a car. We get a quick overview of the trial, and because they were stupid and obviously did that shit, everyone got sentenced, but Paul got the lowest since he really was just a little teddy bear, and the movie ends with an inspirational turn that is incredibly out of place considering how terrible of a person Daniel Lugo really is. Well, now that the story's out of the way, what did I think? There's actually a lot that I want to unpack, so let's start with the basics. This movie is extremely enjoyable. I really want to get that out first because I don't want that point to get lost. The characters are all played pretty well, especially with The Rock as Paul and Tony Shalhoub as Victor. I know I called him Monk the whole movie, but that's who he will always be to me. Even though this movie is just a big lie with multiple liberties taken with what actually happened, from what I read, I personally think that this is a much better story since it condenses characters and focuses on more of the relationships between the characters, and just made it super weird. Now, all of the characters, except Ed, are all bad people, and I do not like that the movie tries to redeem some of them or give them any type of sympathy, when really the only person who deserves that is Paul, since he was a drug addict who was just looking for friends who really just got taken advantage of. Everyone else, though, is a bad person. Danny, I'm mad that you worked harder than me. Lugo is a narcissistic manipulator. Adrian tries to cheat on his wife during his court appearance and is a tryhard. Monk is also a narcissist, but is way more of a dick about it. And most every other character is relegated to, I do one thing and it's illegal. But watching everything unfold is still just really fun to watch. Like I said, characters are racist, sexist, and just all around assholes, but that's kind of the point. These aren't supposed to be characters that you want to see win, and while the ending throws a lot of that away, I'm glad that for the most part, they didn't try to make the characters seem like they were just misunderstood. In several of my reviews now, I've gotten comments saying, oh, just enjoy the movie, stop complaining that some stuff is offensive, boo-hoo-hoo. But this time, this is one of the only movies where that kind of criticism would actually make sense, because you're not supposed to like these characters. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to criticize that because the whole movie should be a critique on those types of people. But then there's some messaging that just doesn't seem to actually get with the program, so it's kind of a mess on that front. I actually enjoyed this movie so much that I looked up other reviews, and I found that most of the criticisms that I've seen relate to the movie having too much violence in it, but
Cap.
no it doesn't. Sure, the cop shooting at Paul and him getting his toe shot off wasn't true, but aside from that, this movie is actually much less violent than what actually happened in real life, so I don't really understand that criticism. Also, this is a Michael Bay movie written by the 2 guys who wrote Infinity War and the worst Thor movie, so I don't really understand why they thought this was supposed to be a thoughtful, inspired, and introspective look into the lives of criminals. There's gonna be action, there's gonna be unnecessary objectification, and there's gonna be American propaganda. I'm not saying those last 2 things are necessarily good, but I'm not walking into McDonald's expecting to be served some fine dining. For a crime movie with some very good comedy in places, this movie shows that a dumb movie about bad people can still be good. But let me know what you think. Should the movie have gone through another set, or were the gains enough for the day? Let me know in the comment section below. Mayhaps like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.